Hi, it's your old buddy Hamish here again from the Guitar Factory School. I'd like to talk about octave shapes today with you. The thing about octave shapes is they're a really handy way of visualising things on the fretboard, so they're a great signpost. And the guitar being not a visually friendly instrument to learn on when you first start playing like a keyboard, you need every little trick in the book to help you navigate and see where you are. So there's a few provisos about this. One is that you've got a reasonable idea about the notes on the E and the A string, and if you've been playing guitar for a while, you probably, by hook or by crook, know those notes anyway, because you need to know your bar chords and root note location for, say an A chord, that's A there for that, or that's a D bar chord, that's note D for that. So you've got a pretty good idea about the notes along the E and the A string because you've been playing chords or scales. But you might not be that great about knowing the notes on the other strings. Here's a shortcut. This will save you years of grief, believe me. So take the trouble to learn these patterns and they'll help. So we'll put our first finger on fret 5 on the E string. That's the note A there. Now put your third finger on the D string on fret 7. That's the same note. That's A there. That's A on the D string. It's A up an octave. So if you move it down 2 frets, you know that that's G on the E string. If you use the same pattern, that's also G on the D string. So by just using one visual shape here, one physical shape, you can see or figure out pretty quickly what the other notes are without having to memorize all the notes along the D string, which is hard work, It's hard enough getting them down on the A string. You don't need all that for the other strings. You can just take the shortcut. I'm calling that shape number 1. That's my way of describing it. Now it's slightly movable, as I said. You move it up a string to the A string. That's the note D on fret 5 on the A string. Put the third finger on fret 7 on the G string, and lo and behold, that's the note D on the G string. So shape 1, shape 1. So instant access now by using one octave shape to help you see notes on the D string and the G string when and if you're ready. And not only is it good for knowing notes, but I think really importantly it's also good for visualising intervals, which is invaluable for visualising what goes into chords and scales as well. Now, what's going to happen initially, say you have a problem, like you need to figure out, okay, what's that note on the, say, fret 9 on the G string, you don't know what it is and you need to figure it out in a hurry. It's kind of a 3-step operation. That's how I found it anyway. You might have to actually physically take it down to figure out what that note is. So that's, say, there. Okay, so you put your third finger there, use octave shape number 1, I'm calling it. And then you figure out, okay, well that's E there on that string, so I know those notes there on the A string. So therefore I've just figured out E on the G string on fret 9. That's the first stage. The second stage is you'll start to mentally take it down. You'll start to visually take it down without having to physically move your fingers down to it. So you can see it at a glance by mentally picturing it down to there. And after a while, the third stage is you just know what the note is, but it comes from an organic process as opposed to trying to cram it all in and memorize it all in one go. Okay, because that's murder, trying to do it like that. Okay, enough said about that. So we've got shape 1, shape 1. If you move it up to fret 5 on the D string now, we've got first finger there, pinky on fret 8 on the B string. That's another sort of shape. I'm calling that shape 2, and that would be G. If we move it up again, that would be C on the G string, fret 5 on the G string, fret 8 on the top E string. So 2 shapes we've used. Shape 1, shape 2. Okay, now if we go back to shape 1, keep your third finger glued where it is. Now, you know this already. Anything on the bottom E string is the same as the top E string. You know that that's the E string there. That's your bottom E string, that's the top E string. So, regardless of where you put a finger there, if you're on that string, it's going to have a mirror image note a couple of octaves higher on that same fret on the top string. So that's A there, that's A there. And you can use that kind of concept of understanding that to get that. If you go back to shape 1, first finger goes onto the top string, and that's going to be by default the same note as the bottom E string, only 2 octaves apart. So here's the shape now. We're jumping over 2 strings. Third finger is on fret 7 on the D string. First finger is on the top E string on fret 5, and that's an A octave. That's also movable. Take it down a string, same pattern, that's E, So we've got third finger on fret 7 on the A string, first finger on the B string on fret 5, that's an E. So to recap, shape 1, shape 1, shape 2, shape 2, shape 3, shape 3. The last one, shape 4, is a one-off. We can only use it on one set of strings. So first finger on the fret 5 on the G string, pinky on fret 8 on the bottom E string. And it's that kind of principle again of, if you look at pattern number 2, when we went up to the G string, we had C there on the G string and we put our pinky on fret 8 on the top E string. Anything on the top E string, remember, is the same as the bottom E string and vice versa. So that's what we're getting there. A bit awkward to play initially, but they're signposts, so you might not actually physically play it, but you can actually see what that note is, and that's going to really come in handy. So, shape 1, shape 1, shape 2, shape 2, shape 3, shape 3, shape 4. Okay, remember them, they're going to come in handy.